peeps out there. Tonight we are recording a special episode. Or are we calling it a series, sis?
I think it's a
Anyways,
series.
yeah. And this is going to be titled We Want to Get to Know You. Because sometimes we get to move beyond the parasocial relationship and we actually get to talk to some of our favorite people in the spooky community. Our guest tonight is someone we've admired from afar, known for her work on the CW series Mysteries Decoded and a BuzzFeed Unsolved Something Scary narrator. She has built her audience on a social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube by sharing haunted history and strange stories. I personally enjoy her advocacy and amplifying of diverse voices. To top it all off, she is a psychic, paranormal investigator, and hosts her own podcast called Getting Strange with Steffany Strange. I mean, we kind of have a few things in common. Everyone, please welcome Steffany Strange.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, that was so nice. Thank you for having me. You guys
We
are amazing.
appreciate you. Oh, you're so sweet. We appreciate you so much. And I remember when I first met you at Diana Vogel's tea party a couple years ago, and you were wearing a Lydia red dress because it was like a
Oh,
beetle
so
juice
cool.
kind of theme. And I totally fangirled out because I typically don't really engage or follow too many, per se, influencers. I'm kind of more like a blind person when it comes to knowing who's who in the room. And so I just remember you so stunningly standing behind the house in the backyard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is her name? What is her name? I know I see her from social media.
So sweet. Thank you. Yeah, you guys are amazing. I was like, oh my God, you guys are spooky twins. I love that.
Yeah, and Samantha's like hitting me on the elbow and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I recognize her from the scary stories, from Snarled, and then we got to do some of the activities inside the kitchen, and you were just so nice and warm, and that's so welcomed. It can go one way or the other sometimes when you meet people in real life.
Oh, a 10 out of
That's
10.
so true.
I was so nervous, like, because I remember for that day, she did like a part one, part two for like her media night. And so I was so nervous because like all the people that I knew had gone on day one. So I was like, who's gonna be going for day two? I'm so nervous. And then you guys are so nice. You guys are like one of the nicest people there. There was other people there that I kind of knew, but I feel like I clicked with you guys like the most. I knew Hannah. Shout out to Hannah. She's also very
Oh,
Yeah,
nice
shout
too.
she's
out.
so
I know we need to
cool.
hang out with her. I'm long overdue for it because my daughter sometimes would come in town when we would have something on the schedule. I'm all, dang it, I'm always the counselor. Like, I just feel so bad.
Yeah, it was a great night,
Yes.
and Diana's done a great job with those haunted tea parties. But the other thing that kind of blew my mind that night was that you're actually a psychic and you kind of led the paranormal investigation with your husband in the basement. So not only were we a bit fangirling, but also like highly impressed with your skill set. Can you tell
Thank
us
you.
kind of how that happened? I mean, did Diana reach out to you, like, or did you already know about that house? I mean, because you're very well versed in haunted locations.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know anything about the house. I just knew that she had really beautiful decor. Her home was beautiful and people were posting about it. I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to go." And she finally invited me. I was like, "Yeah, I get to go." But I didn't know. I know that she messaged me previously a couple of days prior and she mentioned that they do a paranormal investigation. So I brought some stuff, but I loved her setup and I know
Yeah.
normally she doesn't let anybody record or do anything. So
Yes.
I thought that was cool that we got to like record a little bit of it and like be part
Yes.
of that
Yeah.
experience.
And if I
Yeah.
remember, you had like a special doll and you had it kind of configured to help pick up any activity. Did I remember
Yes.
that correctly?
Yes, I had a Raggedy Ann doll. So I had a couple of REM pods that look like a Raggedy Ann doll, and then I have like two dolls that are REM pods, and then a bear. And so we had a couple of things. But I what was fascinating to me was I know Carl felt the energy down there as well, and she was asking us questions without giving us much information, and I mean, I'm glad to hear that we were in sync with like what they had picked up previously in other events. It's always nice getting like that confirmation.
It
Right. And that
was. And
validation, right?
Carl is your husband, and you guys met in a psychic circle of sorts. And so Samantha and I have been married. What, sis? Did we just hit 31 years? We were married
Yeah.
in 95, had a big Catholic wedding in 96. So to meet somebody who's also been married, and there was another married couple there, but that you guys are married and psychic, like really
Together.
together, absolutely stood out. And so, uh, can you tell us just a little bit how that dynamic works? Because just as married people for ourselves, I'm like, is that good or is that bad? You know, like how does that work in your relationship? And then obviously
What
you're
do you mean you don't know I'm mad? You should
yeah, exactly, exactly. And
know.
then it was just like such a to me such a powerful dynamic in the way, and I know you've talked about this on other podcasts as well, but it's like um and maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit in the paranormal investigation bit, but what I find fascinating about you and your husband is that you have come to realize that certain spirits will respond to him as a man versus you as a Latina, POC, like you guys spirits can be a little judgy. It like kind of
What?
tell us how that
Are you telling
kind
me
of
that I need to use Paxton Bowman as a trigger object?
yes, they'll probably talk to your 6 foot two, cis male
Viking
husband
husband.
ally. But yeah, like do you guys just like always roll in together? Do you guys still investigate individually? Like you guys kind of, like I said, kind of became to me that night really led the lead on that paranormal experience.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I always say that when it comes to being a spiritualist, being a medium and a psychic, everyone uses and talks to energy in a very different way. And so
Yeah.
I think that like one thing that I've discovered a lot in testing things, being married to somebody who is also very intuitive. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind a bit. Yes,
Okay.
we met in a psychic development circle. We had a mentor who is a spiritualist minister. And so for those who don't know, um, being a psychic and a medium, there is actually technically a religion based off that. It's a spiritualist church. There's a few of them throughout the United States. I actually just went to Casa Diego, Florida, the spiritualist capital recently, so that's a different story. But
What?
yeah, and so, but we met in a spiritualist psychic circle, and I immediately just connected with him, and I knew that that was going to be my husband right away. And it's not like a romantic story either, though. It was like, I like the realistic way of it too was interesting seeing that unfold in itself. But working with him, I remember that when we were dating and we were dating before we got married, we were more into the psychic version of things. Like we really were more interested in like energy and understanding our clairs and doing that. And then eventually down the road for my birthday, the year that we got engaged, he surprised me to a trip to New Orleans and we ended up doing our very first paranormal investigation because I kept telling him like I want to do a paranormal investigation, but I really want to try to channel more of like ghosts and that type of energy because I've never been around that and I feel like I'm struggling with that. And we went to like the capital of like the
Yeah, there
paranormal
you
too. So
go.
Yes, we
Lola.
love New Orleans. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the fact that you just brought up Carl with a K, I happened to watch one of the episodes on YouTube today, which was Psychic Mistake. I unveiled my husband's identity too early. So I love that you one admitted that, but also that you make yourself so vulnerable when you're telling the story of your guys' first date and when he leaned in for a kiss and all the things. And I think dating in the year 20, when did you guys get together? 20 something, was this pre-pandemic,
oh
post-pandemic?
gosh, we've been together. We met in 2014. So
Okay,
we
that's some
were
time.
yeah, we were like basically on and off dating. Like it was not, it's interesting because dating has changed so much even
No,
now.
that's
I
what
don't even
I'm
know.
like fascinated. I don't even know how these kids
Yeah.
be doing it.
Well,
Swipe,
now they
swipe,
call it
left,
Yeah, yeah,
left,
yeah.
all these terminologies. I'm like, what? I can't even keep up. But when I was dating him, so when we first met, we both knew that we had a connection and we were attracted to each other. And I just felt it very deep down that that was my husband. And in like, not in like, this is lollipops and rainbows. In fact,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've said to people, and I'll just be vulnerable and people can judge me with it. I don't care at this point, but when I met him, I it was like I just heard a voice deep down. I'm like, that's so bizarre. And I avoided him because I was like, I'm trying to make it work with my ex-boyfriend of 7 years. I'm not trying to move on to a new relationship with anybody.
Wow.
Um, And at the time with my ex-boyfriend, we were on and off as well. And so, but I just knew that like that ex-boyfriend, I just, it's weird because when I started doing my psychic development and my energy work, I just knew that that person that I wanted to make it work with was not the person I was supposed to be with. Like I started to have downloads and dreams about it. And just like what I felt deep down, I was starting to see visually in my dreams and everything, but I really wanted to make it work. So when I saw Karl, like I heard that voice, like, that's your husband. And I avoided him like the plague. Like I didn't talk to him. I didn't say hi to him. I avoided him at all costs. Like there's this funny story that he reminds me of once in a blue moon where we were supposed to be each other's partner for like a psychic development exercise. And I told someone else to take my chair and he saw the whole thing unfold and I went somewhere else and because I did not
Wow.
want to talk to him. And so finally, when I ended things with my ex-boyfriend, there was like that week where I saw him again at the psychic circle, and I was like, you know what, F it, I'm gonna ask for his number. I maybe like I'm just imagining things I don't know. And I did, and then from there we became friends, but really quickly, like I would say within like 6 months, we started like just casually dating, and then it progressed into like really just eventually being in a relationship. But once we've cemented our relationship, it was like we got engaged the same year, we moved in the same year, and we've been together now for like
It
10 years.
It just
it moved fast.
escalated
Oh,
in the best
good. The
way.
whole decade. Now that it's
Yeah.
almost like twin powers activate, but like psychic powers activate. Like when you guys enter a room, you guys like, how couples be like, yeah, avoid that section of the party. Like, are you guys like double teaming the vibes wherever you go?
Yeah, so sometimes, so the thing is like one thing our mentor always taught us was to not be in the room reading energy, doing all that, because it's very exhausting. It is.
Smart.
Energy
Oh
work
yeah.
is very exhausting. When we lead our psychic circles, we always talk about consent-based readings, because that's also like an energetic boundary between both the reader and the person receiving the reading. Like I
Love
always say, like
that.
there people love those shows where like the psychic medium, they're like reading somebody at a grocery store or a theater, and
Yeah.
it's like I saw it. I remember this one time I was with a friend who's also like a spiritualist and occultist as well, and there was somebody doing a audience crowd reading in a theater, and behind me there was this girl, and he was like, "Hey, I have this message for you," and he was like by the screen and at the bottom of the this theater, and he was like trying to really push his message, and she's like, "No, no, no," but that's because he just went to her and just gave her that message. Like I'm not shading him for that. Like I think the guy is
Yeah.
incredibly good, but I don't think that person was ready to hear that message. It could be true. I don't
Oh my
know.
God.
But
So
if you're
you're
not ready to
hitting,
hear it,
yeah.
yeah.
Are you open to receive? Or is that other
Yeah.
person open to receive the messages? Because Samantha and I oftentimes, and we've talked about it, because we wanted to have a psychic reading, and we talk about either doing it together or doing it separate. Because some people, we once had a lady who was just like so fascinated that we were twins and wanted to read us, together. And we don't know if that is confusing or like how that really plays out. And you're the expert, so maybe you can tell us. But that said, I think it's really real what you're saying about people being open to receive, and I don't know, like we put boundaries up. Like we talk about this when we're doing paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
And I did sit in on a seance and I just literally felt like I was just guarding myself. And which is not fair to the person who, I mean, I paid, I guess, to guard myself. I don't know.
You paid to
I was
sit at
there
the
to be
table and then
supportive.
refused to be part of the table.
And to experience it. Actually, Mystic Dylan was there, and Paul from Ghost Watch Paranormal,
Oh, I
one of our
love
good friends.
them.
And but I guess what I'm saying to you is that for Samantha and I, sometimes we have to talk to ourselves before we go into a paranormal investigation and say, okay, we got to remember to let our guard down a little bit if we want to have some sort of activity, because we will just shut it down. So,
Yeah.
do you find that there are people that are blockers? I mean, I don't know what the proper terminology would be.
Yeah, so when I've done these psychic circles, and it's interesting, I call them circles. I think that's more like a friendly entry level way of saying it, but we are technically doing seances all the time because we sit in a circle,
Yeah.
we do the meditation, we're literally linking our energy in a circle, and we're trying to communicate to each other's energy, our spirit guides, etc., right? So I've seen in these circles, and I've been doing this literally for a decade, as long as I've known Carl for like
Wow.
12 years.
Wow.
We've seen all kinds of different things. We've seen people that sometimes they're like the battery. They're the ones that are like charging the circle, they're charging the energy there. They may not be the one giving the messages, they may not be the one receiving messages. It's just like sometimes they're the anchor. They're the thing that's really feeding the energy of the circle. And I've
Oh,
Yes.
that's
felt that in myself.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's really just like the time of like your mood, your energy, like where you're at too mentally and spiritually. But then there's also people that like, yeah, they're like the talker, the yapper. They're like bam, 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 bam. They're being charged by everyone's energy. So I do think
Yes.
people can play multiple different parts with that. And yes, you're right. Like your mental state, your mood, everything affects the energy. One thing that happens a lot in our circles is we get new people and they get so nervous, they get so anxious. And I've even had people that like when they're done with their circle, they're like, something was making me feel anxious. Like, well, that's your energy and other people there.
Oh
You're
yeah,
being
totally.
empathic to their energy. Why, that's why you were blocked because you're so focused on being scared and anxious and whether you're right or wrong and not allowing yourself with the energy just to let you flow into the space. So, yes, like I always say, like when it comes to energy work and psychic stuff and all of that, you really have to have a good foundation. So grounding is key, but your mental health is part of grounding too. And then your
Yeah.
mood, then comes the energy as well.
And
And
I'm
then do you think
loving.
too?
Go
Well, I
ahead,
want to get a
sis.
question. Also too, because so I do read tarot. I started when Ronnie was doing summer spook nights and just helping out to like raise money and stuff. And I noticed that not only did I have to open up myself, but I had to kind of close it down at the end of the sessions or the end of the night. And sometimes, and kind of like a part B of this statement, I guess, is like my friends just expect me to just come over and read tarot because it'll be fun on like a blue, like, oh, it's the blue moon. Let's all get together and do moon rituals. And oh, Samantha, will you like read the tarot? And it's like I don't always want to be that person because it is exhausting if I'm really focusing. And also the reaction, sometimes the cards will come out and say, they don't really like it. It's not as fun as they think
Oh,
it was supposed to
she's had
be.
People have
people.
expectations too, like what they
Yes,
want
Hmm.
to
and
hear.
Samantha, at one point told me because we were kind of working out the space planning, if you will, where she was going to be doing readings, and she was like, "I have to have a wall behind me. I can't have my back open to all this energy constantly. I mean, we'll get up to 2,000 people at this small, venue." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So like for me, it's like really making sure that I'm accommodating the artist and the talent and like me as a producer person, like being open to receive, like, okay, I need to think about this in a different way.
Yeah, because
Um,
we've literally shifted tables like hours before an
yeah. Do
event or
you
like
find
moved
that
my
too for
chair.
yourself? I mean, because I know that you also have a read tarot, and I don't know how often you're reading tarot now, or yeah. So tell us a little bit about that because I did watch the YouTube, and I apologize, I do not know the gentleman's name because Samantha and I have many times confessed we are not on TikTok, and
Oh,
we
you're
know you have a
fine.
huge following on TikTok, and I think this gentleman is a friend of yours through TikTok, and you guys were in his apartment across the street from the Cecil Hotel, which
Oh,
we are
Pete
both very
Montesingo.
yes, okay. He seems like a cool cat. He seems so cool.
It's
But
very
you
nice.
were doing tarot in there, and you were actually I feel like you kind of had to do a closing ceremony, if you will, because maybe there were actual entities inside his apartment complex as well, not just stuff coming from across the street from the Cecil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, for context, for people listening, there's a video on my YouTube channel where I am technically channeling the Cecil Hotel from across the street in Pete Montesingo's apartment. And he went viral
Wow.
for doing these live streams recording the Cecil Hotel. He didn't know it was like the infamous Cecil Hotel or anything about it when he first moved in. But anyway, so he, invited me over. We went and we did this whole like I did a tarot session. I actually did a spell to like call the spirits into our space, invite them in. I did tarot and then I closed it off and it was very intense. Actually
Yeah.
Mystic Dylan was speaking of that. Mystic Dylan was the one that was like, you should try this spell before you go to call in the spirits. Cause sometimes
Oh
like I do
wow.
chat with him about like what
Yeah.
do you recommend? Like this is what I
He's
do.
such
What are
an
your thoughts?
expert.
He
He's
is
such an
such an
expert.
expert.
Yeah, I
Don't be
my
fooled by his
first
goofiness. He's an
no, no,
expert.
and or his love for Broadway. He's very serious. He knows his craft. Um, the first session I ever sat in at Midsummer Scream, he was doing a presentation on his witchcraft and tarot, and everything was kind of all inclusive. But that's the first time I met him, was at a Midsummer Scream. And then we have mutual friends, so we run into each other, and
Yeah.
I try to support his store when he does have a storefront,
Hmm.
the best that I can, and that's how I ended up at the seance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie, you did mention, so you and your husband met at what you would say like it's like your religion or it's your practice, or what you and your husband. Do your families come from what did you call it? The spiritual religion or
Yeah, so okay, so it's an interesting dynamic. So I grew up in my mom, like I feel like for her, I love my mom and
yeah.
bless her and she'll kill me if she hears this. But I feel like she kind of struggles with like I feel like she is at heart an occultist. Like she is super into crystals, she's into tarot, she's into astrology. In fact, like I
Okay.
feel like I really embrace that part of me because of her.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, my great aunt, she actually recently passed away a couple years ago, about 2 years ago.
Sorry.
It's okay. But she had a botanica in South Central LA. And I believe her daughters now run the botanica. And she was known in her community for being the tarot reader, having her botanica for decades.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I remember that being a core memory, like whenever because I moved out of LA, I ended up moving briefly to like Minnesota. I say briefly, like I've lived there up until I was 18. I said bye in Minnesota. I'm not staying here.
Okay. All right.
Um,
He's
but when I
out,
was a kid, we moved
Minnesota.
to Minnesota. Yeah, I'm like, bye,
Minnesota is
Minnesota.
cold.
Too cold. It's too cold. But we moved there, and every holiday, every summer, when we would come back from Minnesota to LA, that was one of the things my mom always wanted to go was to the Botanica and visit my great aunt. And so that's like such a core memory. Like I remember the statues, the offerings, I remember the incense smell, like all these things that I grew up with, and such a core memory. So that I know now she's like Mormon, and that's something that I think she juggles both things, right?
Your mom is now
But
Mormon?
yes, yeah.
Oh,
So it's an
wow.
interesting like 180, but I feel like she still holds on to the occult, and I
Yeah.
mean but I think that's with like a lot of Latino communities and culture is that we're like you have to do the simulation, right? You have to be Catholic and a perfect Catholic, but there's also
Yes.
magical elements in Catholic.
So
Oh,
we're so
100.
we love
Yeah,
it all.
We
That's
love,
we were
yeah.
raised
yeah.
in Catholicism, but my
Mhm.
husband's family history is with the Mormonism, and my daughter's girlfriend she left the Mormon church. So I'm always hearing the things about the Mormons, good,
Yeah,
bad,
and
and
then our
you
very
Good,
know,
good
bad, and all of
friend,
that. Yeah.
different. Yeah.
who's an opera singer, his first wife was Mormon, and they had a son together. And the first time I ever, besides Samantha and Paxton's dynamic, um, I remember he talked to me and he was like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I signed off whatever this thing is in Mormonism to let Filippo go to like another planet or like with her family situation." Like he goes, "The thing is, Ronnie, is I don't believe in any of it. Like Catholic, JW, whatever, Mormon, I don't believe in it." So it's kind of like I just want my son to be happy. So if that's what he wants, then but
Yeah.
so anyways, that is my bare minimum take on Mormonism, that there was something about a planet and all of them going in the afterlife to live together in
It's
this
a
planet is
very
how he.
interesting religion. And I
Yeah.
remember my mom, like, again, bless my mom, but
God
she
Yes,
bless
we
your
forced
feel
me
that.
mom.
into
We're
it.
about
Yeah.
moms.
Yeah, like she forced me into it. So I was baptized Mormon. I didn't know any better. And like again, like soon as I was like, I'm done after 18, I was like, I don't want anything to do with
Yeah,
this.
that's what
Like
happened to my daughter's girlfriend, pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, but
don't want anything to do with
Stephanie,
it.
this is so curious to me because
Fascinating.
you are your family is El Salvadorian. Is that a common religion in El Salvador? I mean, Mormonism, or like how did that come to be when you came to the States? Like your mom had
Oh
friends
yeah.
that were Mormon, or I'm very
Oh, like
curious.
the ancestry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she converted into Mormonism after her last divorce. So I was in high school, I was 15 years old, and so she had been recently divorced, and the Mormons came in and they brought her community, which I mean, they
Yeah,
did a
which
lot
they
of
are good
lovely
with
things.
They
community.
really
They
Yeah,
are really
are.
good with community.
They're such
when
good
my mom had a brain,
volunteers.
yes, they are. They do all the whole
Yes.
thing. What I really impressed me was when she had her brain tumor removed and they came and they mowed her lawn. They actually ended
I
up
Wow.
like
believe it.
coming together and paying for her mortgage because she couldn't work for a month.
Wow.
So like they really
Wow.
just did all these things for her, and I think that's probably why I'm sure for the
She
rest of her
feels
life she'll carry
compelled
that.
to, Yeah,
Yeah.
because also too, if you have children and somebody's coming to assist you and you're divorcee, that community does call to you. I do know that Paxton's grandmother, when she used to live in Bakersfield, she'd be like, those guys come every Sunday and I just cannot get them to leave because she would like feed them and I'm like, well, stop bringing out the fresh baked cookies.
So so I have two questions then, because you have I don't know if you have any brothers, but I definitely have heard you talk about your sisters before. And so are
Yeah, I
they
don't have any
also
brothers,
Mormon?
just sisters.
Are they also Mormon? Because how old
Younger.
are you and where are you at? Middle child, older child? Like
I'm
where's
the
everybody?
youngest.
You're
Yeah,
the
I'm the youngest, and I
youngest.
have two older sisters. There's like a 10-year age gap. So, like, I will say this, like, my mom, I think most of the religion comes from like my mom and my dad. My sisters, I would say they're just like, agnostic. They believe in a higher power, but I wouldn't say that they like are a practitioner. I think I do the most of like my spirituality, like where I do my psychic circles every weekend. I do my cleansings, I do all of that. That's my expression. Um, but at the same time, like it's an interesting thing because regardless, so I still believe that like a lot of Latinos are heavily influenced by like Catholic roots and foundations, and we were
Yeah.
very much exposed to those things as kids. So like I even did my whole communion to do my quinceañera, like I did the whole
Oh
shebang. So
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
you were, yeah, you did the
I
whole
love
thing.
that.
Okay, just to
Yeah.
go back just a second. So you said your aunt, she has how did you say that? Botanica?
Yeah,
Um,
Botanica.
like what explain that for our listeners who and also myself who are not really familiar with that because some of Ronnie and I's family history is our father is Mexican Spanish, but we didn't reconnect with him till our like 5 years ago, maybe. So we grew up with more, white presenting lifestyle, and if
Mhm.
you were to see our mom and dad at our events, you would think that we were just white people.
Yeah, because our
So
because our dad is our dad is German. His last name is Heim, and our dynamic
and
is
he's our stepdad, yeah.
he's our stepdad, but he's been
We
with
call
us
him
since
dad.
1987. And then we have
Yeah.
little sisters, and their father was Mexican and German.
Mexican
So the
German.
first 5 years of our life, going into 7 years old, actually, we were always around the Mexican culture, and we went to
Yeah.
Catholic school first, second grade. And our mom was raised Catholic in Detroit, Michigan, of all places. And so our mom's been very I don't know. I feel like she really locked into her Catholicism again when she got married the third time. And because dad was German, but raised Roman Catholic, and they were very devout, one of 12 kids. I mean,
Yeah, like from Milwaukee or
really
Wisconsin or where were
amazing.
they from?
But that, I think Milwaukee, but that
Yeah.
said, Stephanie, you were mentioning this word, spiritualist, spiritualism, occult. Our great grandmother, our mom's biological grandmother, who helped. There's a long story. We'll have to have cocktails, but basically, our great grandma apparently kept in touch with our padre for all these like years. And when we were about 10 years old, we were fussing about in this garage. Our mom was renting a couple of rooms from this house, and we came across some cassette tapes that belonged to great grandma. And we started playing the cassette tapes, and they were all about like it freaked us out. We like ejected the cassette tape because it was talking about dimensions and entering like dimensional worlds and sixth dimension and all this stuff. And so later our mom explained to us that grandma, our great grandma, was into going to church, but a church that lifted the spirits that were around you. So, like when my mom went to the church, they talked about a Native American woman that was next to her, and then also who she believed to be her father, an older man, dark skin, that type of thing. So, our mom actually is, her dad is a person of color as well. And our little sister a few months ago came over and she was like, did you hear like our grandfather was born from a runaway slave? And so like there's like even like deeper history for us that we're still
Yeah, so much lore.
unraveling,
Still discovering.
still discovering. But that said, so in your realms of spiritualism, does any of that come to be like with these dimensional worlds or whatever? So we never had a
But
title
wait,
to
I
it.
still need to know how do you explain what a Bontanica
Oh, yes,
is?
yes,
Did
yes.
I say that wrong?
Botanica.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Oh, sorry. Yes. Thank you for sharing that story though. It's so fascinating.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Yeah, it
wild.
is a
That's why
lot.
we're so
There's so
weird to
many
people.
levels.
We're so
We're
weird to
so
people.
weird. We're so weird.
No, that's so cool. Okay, so botanica. I would say like for those people that have never heard the term or they don't know what it is, a botanica is technically like a metaphysical shop.
Okay.
So the same way that you go to a shop where you want to get your candles, your crystals, your incense, it's technically that. But a botanica, though, you'll find that a lot of botanicas, a lot of people that either own them or work there, there's a lot of practices that come from Mexico or Central America or the Latin
Yeah.
Americas, if you will. I feel like most of the botanicas I've ever been to, they're more like very Mexican dominated.
Yes.
And of course, like my great aunt, she's Salvadorian, so very like I would say Mexican, Central American. A lot of the people that own them or practice in them, it's either they do Santeria, they do curandismo, like all these
Yeah.
like practices with the umbrella and like the umbrella of a lot of these like practices, the occult
Yeah.
in the
Thank you
Mexican
for
tradition or
sharing that
yeah.
because I didn't want to assume it would be Santeria,
Yeah.
Yeah.
automatically. So thank you for
And
explaining that.
sis, we used to have one off of 4th Street near the Taco Bell, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
In the old part of
Okay.
Ontario. Um,
Okay.
okay,
You'll find
so
a lot of good candles and
oh,
soaps there and
amazing.
anything if you want to manifest like money, you'll find good money soaps there. The
Listen,
you
we
get
need
like the
that today. Can I
Right?
yep,
manifest low oil prices and
yep. The protection bracelets. I feel
Yeah.
like the botanicas are amazing. I when I went to Denver, went back to Denver, my friends and I went to investigate a fire department in like way north Colorado. But before we did that, we stopped by a botanica that I used to go to, and the guy blessed our bracelets. He gave us our bracelets. He goes, "Here's the coins that you're gonna give as an offering before you enter the space." So he gave all these really great advice because they were
What?
very we were all like, I mean, I was new people that have never done this. So I was like, well, let's talk to an expert then. I know I'm your friend, so you're not going to believe me, but like, we'll listen to an
Oh,
expert at the shop and they can give you
Isn't that
recommendations.
funny how like you're like, no, I know what I have knowledge, but yeah, okay, you'll listen to this guy because he has a store. But back it up. You said you can get your coins there for your offerings?
So yes, so their belief system, because they work with like the seven orishas, and so they were saying that like if I want to, a tip, and like for backstory, like I wouldn't say like they doubt me by any means, but sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, if you let's like get double, just extra cushion from someone else, just to
Yes.
make you feel
I
good.
love
Um,
that.
but yeah, they didn't like say they were very nice, they were very cool, but I will say that like I was like just in case, like they still feel a little nervous, we'll get extra
Yeah.
advice from
Sometimes
someone
you
else
just
there.
need a little extra. Listen, we're loaded up
Yeah.
with our rosaries. I have
mhm.
holy water from Europe and New Orleans, and we're
All
always
kinds of
filling from the
places.
font.
Yeah,
Yes.
all kinds of places.
I'm sorry, sis. Did I cut you off? You because the other question that I wanted to ask is going to change the whole subject matter. So
Oh wait, sorry. So I'll
because
finish my
yeah,
thought too about the coins.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so he advised for me it was because they work with the seven orishas is that to do the seven coins, bring a bottle of white, was it rum? I think it was white rum. And I wrote it down. And before I go into this, like I pour it and then I give my kind of like when you go to a cemetery, you give your coins
Yeah,
or your pennies, kind of like that. So you give your coins. I could have swore he said seven. I've heard another practitioner say that it's not seven. It's like I think 13. I don't remember anymore. But
yeah,
I could have swore he told me seven. But to put it in the entrance, do the rum, and then ask for I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't remember the name right now. I wrote everything
yeah.
Yeah,
down.
you're fine.
I have it on like iPhone
We can
That's
notes.
fine.
add you in
Yeah,
notes.
And so, like, they're like, do that and then call for protection and guidance while you communicate to the dead. You'll be fine. I was like, okay, cool. And to be honest, I do stuff like this all the time. Like, I bring cemetery dirt from where my grandfather was buried. So it's like he's my protector. So I bring cemetery dirt with me. I do my own rituals before I enter a space. I do my offerings. I've noticed that when I do that, there's way more, just the paranormal activity is more gentle, more active, more gentle. I feel
Oh,
protected versus
what?
just going in and just using tech equipment and just saying,
yeah.
spirits, are you here? Yeah.
And probably more connected is what I would think, because that's what I feel like with the grounding and just, the things that
Hmm.
we bring. It's more than just the tech, and it's really through your body and your sensory systems, in my
Yes.
opinion.
And we
Um,
are also very big on land acknowledgments before we start investigations. We're
Oh, that's
usually
great.
about that. So Anytime I go to an event and they open
You
that,
remember more than I do, if I'm
my
honest.
daughter plays roller derby and competitive roller derby, and the last tournament they actually had a land acknowledgement and a reception, artist reception we went to. They had one, and I was like, yes, people are catching on. This is
They're
epic.
doing it. Okay, you
Yeah.
I love
mentioned your
that.
psychic circles and that you do that on the weekend. Is that something that you're still doing? Because I remember you used to have them open to the public, and you could buy a ticket in and kind of open up your third eye and kind of join you and learn. Are you guys still doing that, you
Yes,
and your
we
husband?
we do them every Sunday. We have a
Oh,
meetup.
okay. Is it
We're
in
called the
Burbank
Great
still?
Yeah, we're called the Greater LA Psychic Development.
Okay.
Um, so yes, we still do them in Burbank. We've done events at other places. I've actually tried to. What's funny is that I tried to do them at like the Heritage Square Museum, but they have
Yeah.
someone else doing it now, so I don't know what happened there. But
Oh,
I've tried to do them in multiple different locations. But Burbank has been the best so far. Like the community is great there. But hopefully I can do more stuff like, at a museum in the near future or
yeah.
an event space. Like I would love to do expand outside of Burbank. Um, so I don't know. We'll stay
That would
tuned
be
for that.
Let's
fantastic.
talk about that.
Yeah,
Maybe we could
let's
co-host something.
I would
Okay.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so paranormal has been trending for a few years now, right? We're all very aware of it. We grew up with horror films, and not necessarily we don't really love the gore horror, but we'll deal with it. But there's some movies we don't do. Um, there was a thing I was just thinking about because you professionally you have this killer background, and you work for BuzzFeed. You like put out your own content recently, or you started landing more interviews and going to these premieres, and everybody kind of thinks that it happens overnight, and we know it takes a lot of consistency and a lot of hard work. But you even landed something with M. Night Shyamalan, and that was really amazing. Saw the video
Oh yeah,
today,
we were
and you guys
so
were just
excited.
talking on the patio. And for somebody like our listeners, we're close to LA, so everybody thinks it's just a magic bubble wand, and you move to California, and all of a sudden you become this insta famous person or famous content creator, or become a movie star. I don't know. But how does somebody like you with the journalistic background, that's kind of how I would see it, how long did it really take you to get to where you are today and get invited to these things?
Oh, that's a good question. So, yeah, what I will say that it's so interesting because I have had friends that are in the YouTube space who have been doing this for like a decade, right? And there are
Yeah.
some really sweet words of encouragement that they've given me over my journey. And I feel like TikTok really, well, it reshaped media for one, right? It reshaped the
Oh
way we
gosh,
consumed
yeah.
media, the news. It was like the Wild West. And so, but prior to TikTok, I was actually doing photography. I had an Instagram and I was doing the whole photo thing and cosplay and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. And so I would say that I've been doing content creation since like, I don't even know, 2016, 2015, really like with photography and in that niche at first. So I feel like my first love was always film and movies and pop culture with like cosplay and anime and
You
all that.
are our people.
Yes.
And so, and I did the whole YouTube thing, but it just didn't kick off. But I stuck with Instagram, and that was like my comfort zone for such a minute there. And when TikTok happened, I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody about it. I'm just gonna start telling scary stories because like that was a life that no one knew. No one knew. Like when Carl and I would tell people how we met, we would basically like a white lie and say we met at a bookstore because technically we did meet at a bookstore. It just was a psychic circle. So we would
I
just
love that.
very,
They
yeah,
don't have
we
to
were
know what we
not
were doing or why we were at the bookstore, but we were at a bookstore.
we're at a bookstore. So people were like, "Oh, that's so cute." I'm like, "Yeah." But we never really
We're
told
smart
people
people.
like
We like books.
exactly. I was like, "Well, we didn't really say much." And so I feel like TikTok what allowed me to come out of my double life and really embrace the paranormal and sharing scary stories and urban legends and all of the stuff that I enjoyed on my downtime. And so, because of that, that's when my journey happened where I guess BuzzFeed saw my videos. Somebody from the CW who they were doing recruitment for Mysteries Decoded saw my videos, and I auditioned for these things. And at the time when I was auditioning, I think what really got me like I guess noticed was that there wasn't people that looked like me sharing scary
Yeah.
stories and urban legends. Like it was very male dominated at
Yeah,
the
it still
time.
is
Yeah,
male dominated.
it feels like it's still male
Yes,
dominated
Yeah.
or white woman dominated. I feel like we still
Yeah.
need more color in this space.
absolutely. And what, let me rephrase that. So I mean by like at the time, like when it came to like the scary stories on TikTok, like it was more
Oh,
of just
okay.
Yeah.
like I know, and I love Mr. Ballen's stuff. Like I thought he actually really inspired me to be like, okay, I'm gonna go on TikTok and I'm gonna start doing these scary stories as well. And I know his was more true crime based, and so I
Yeah.
kind of like pushed into more like the urban legends and paranormal. But he inspired me, like, wow, and it's not just dances, like he's doing story times as well.
It's not
Um,
just dances. I love that you said that because that's what
yeah,
everybody was just doing, the same thing regurgitated, right?
yes.
So, oh gosh, I love it. See, do what you love, guys. She loves scary stories and paranormal, and that's what she brought.
Yeah. And so I would say like when BuzzFeed saw that they were seeing like, oh wow, there's somebody who is doing videos and short form videos and they're being, the way that I guess they told me when why I got the role for BuzzFeed was that the when I auditioned was I was being very thoughtful and sensitive to very dark topics. So I did my
Yeah.
disclaimer because like I literally was like in a Zoom chat like this and they're like, okay, from memory, tell me a story, blah blah blah. So I did the case of Taylor Granger. He's the guy that went missing for like he was never found, but he said that he was coming in
Mm.
contact with UFOs, and there's all these different like
Oh,
conspiracies of what happened. And before I gave the conspiracy, I did my disclaimer. So I guess like I was treating it like I'm doing a video, I'm
like,
talking to you.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
fascinating.
And
I didn't
so
even know you. I mean, it makes sense when you
I
say it.
love this. See,
I
we are
had to,
getting to know you, Stephanie.
yes. I didn't know people audition for this kind of stuff. I just thought like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess because in our world you are such an expert and you've been around for so long, that it's so curious to me that you even had to audition. But
Yeah, it
wow.
was like a yeah, it was such a surreal moment like back then in 2020 because it was like the like 2020, 2021 TikTok was like the Wild West. Like if people were really just like because I was posting every day, twice a day. Like I was really hammering down content back then. And so it just again like just what my advice for people is start with something that you're really passionate about and educate and really connect with people and like I started with the idea of like there's no one like me that does videos. I'm sure there's other people that want to see representation. They want to see more women in horror or true crime, paranormal, whatever.
110%. I
Yeah.
so agree with that. And I'm like kind of dumbfounded, like I'm and impressed because listen, Ronnie and I have avoided TikTok like the plague. Like we just, and then of course with the change of hands and the ownerships and yeah, it's our
Yes.
age
We
demographic,
have trust issues as well. There's that.
Yes. Of
Yes,
course. I get
okay.
it.
But
Yeah.
also, like you said, you were posting once, twice a day, and then you're putting in quality content. How many hours are you spending on this? Because that's also, I think people don't realize the time and effort that goes into. I mean, I could spend 45 minutes trying to do one reel, and I don't think people realize sometimes how many hours, and that's after we've been to the venue, that's after
Mhm.
we've done our trip or whatever it is we're talking
Yeah.
about. And then researching a few fun facts or whatever it is. Even my cocktails take a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a licensed bartender, and I had that's one of my skill sets on my resume if I needed it. But it's like there's time and effort that goes into these things. It just isn't like, hey, it takes 10 minutes. And I think there's a part of people that don't realize you got to really commit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I learned a lot through BuzzFeed. Like to me was such like I was so excited and learning so much about them. And there's so many people that are so talented from the BuzzFeed side that people will never see in the public eye. Like I met video
Yeah.
editors that like I don't know how they do it, but they're so good at like understanding the machine of YouTube. And so they were fascinated from my world of like the short form side, but
Wow.
I was more impressed by them. Like you've been doing like you don't even do YouTube full time and you made a one video for Christmas and that hit 50,000 views. Like you understand
Oh
this and you
my
don't even want to be a
gosh.
YouTuber. Like I met video
Wow.
editors like that.
Yeah.
So, but then that was one portion of it. And then the other portion of it was when I remember, I think even like the Travel Channel, they were recruiting certain people to do videos as well for their social media. But the CW was the most I'll never forget that experience. I remember being, it was an Instagram message. It started off with like an Instagram message, and it was this really pretty blonde girl who was the recruiter, and she was like, "Hey, are you like we wanted to get you to audition for this role. And I was about to be like, this is fake. She's too pretty. Like, there's no way
Yeah,
that
I
she's a real
know. So you're
person.
like, trust the DM? God, there's so many
Yeah.
sketchy people that jump in there.
Yes, I'm like, you're so pretty. Why do they have you doing this? But she's so great. And so but I ended up auditioning for that. And I remember at the time the CW wanted to release because they were seeing with the rise of TikTok, witch talk becoming so popular. The spooky story time. So they were wanting to do a spin-off of Mysteries Decoded. And they did a pilot. I mean, now it's just part of like season one of Mysteries Decoded. You can see it on literally any streaming service. You can look it up now,
Okay,
apparently. But
I want
it's
to go back and watch.
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
it was like a cool experience. So they were like, "Hey, we really want to bring like an all-woman cast for the CW paranormal TV show." And unfortunately, because of the time and TV was changing as well at the time as well, I feel like well, TikTok was growing, streaming was changing as well with like cable
Yeah,
TV, daytime TV. And so I just think that given the time of like evolving into something else, I don't think it became anything more than it could have been. Um, but yeah, I mean, I did a pilot with them and they wanted again diversity. So I think that like TikTok, I love YouTube. I think YouTube is great. I watch a lot of
yeah,
YouTubers, but I think TikTok really put it in a lot of people, like in front of people's faces. Like, we want more diversity. We want more different people telling different stories, and we want to hear different
yeah.
perspectives. And I did do two more episodes from Mr. Decoded, but has not been
Released?
posted yet. Yeah, I don't know when it'll be
Really? This is like
released.
holding on to it in the film room? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So just since we're talking about also just what we're watching, like well, I want to know what you're watching, like and what you find inspiration from or what you even think the new trend is. Are we going to stay in TikTok and short form video? I don't know, maybe that's too big of a question, but where do you say you watch a lot of YouTube? Is there a certain YouTube channel that you'd like to shout out or that you really kind of enjoy? And or is there a content creator or somebody else that you look to for inspiration and ideas? Ronnie and I are super visual people, so we're always sending each other like, oh, we should try this, or
Yeah.
like,
Watch this
that looks
person.
really
Oh
cool.
my
I like how
gosh.
they did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I kind of jumped on like the YouTube train a little late, to be honest. Like, I think I ended up appreciating it more because I started doing TikTok. So I remember back in 2020, well, even before, I would say 2019, I got really into podcasting. So Lore was my first podcast that I loved so much. Aaron
Yeah.
Mahnke is amazing. I know people like loved his shows on Prime. He had it briefly on there as well. And so he is great. He also inspired me.
Yeah,
So
Laura is good.
very good. Yeah, he
Hmm.
inspired me so much. And so I remember like listening to Bedtime Stories. They have a YouTube channel. It's like black and white animations. I know that I hosted for Something Scary, but their illustrations are beautiful. Like I
They're
very
crazy good.
yeah,
They're
very
Yeah.
scary.
scary,
They're
eerie.
scary. My daughter was
Yeah.
watching that like at 8 years old. Like, I mean, she's not
Betty's
normal.
always been spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like Bedtime Stories, I actually stumbled upon their YouTube channel and they had a podcast. And so I was watching them. I was actually watching a lot of animations. So it was so interesting that I ended up getting like reached out to audition for Something Scary. But Mort was also another YouTube channel that I would watch Mojo. Um, and
All
even
good
like
ones.
Zach sees World, like he does like the timeline of all these different like movies and shows. Like he does like all these video essays. Like there's just so many good
I love
ones.
a good video essay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach is great with that. He does like a timeline of like the complete timeline of the It universe, Pennywise,
Wow.
and he
Wow.
goes into
Oh,
the
that
whole
is,
thing.
yeah, you're right. Those are so good because sometimes when
Yeah.
Ronnie and I are inspired to do, or we're like locking in what we want to have an episode on, we do go to some of those channels that you reference and, like, okay, jot this down, jot
And
that
we
down, whatever,
and Samantha's very good about creating playlists too. So like if like for this for example, once it airs, we'll have a playlist. So send us your YouTube links for some of those ones and we'll include it on our,
Oh,
Steffany
I'm
Strange
just going to rewind and
playlist.
then be like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Oh
that
my
is
gosh.
really awesome. Thank you for sharing that as well. And then the other thing I wanted to ask is like, so do you have a top tier moment or like a strange topic that like created a core memory for you, or just like like if somebody asked you what was your most spooky experience or what fascinated you the most? Is there anything that pops into your mind immediately?
So I have a few, but I think like the most recent one, and it's pinned on all my socials because it did like change a lot for me in recent times. It was when I saw a white apparition at the Queen Mary.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
happy you said the Queen Mary because
Same,
Ronnie, you sent me that.
same.
yeah, like that was, I mean, there's so many different moments that have defined me. I think like my first ever reading defined me, but I think the Queen Mary for sure, I would say was like, I wouldn't say it scared me, but it definitely like reinforced why I do what I do and why I love going to
Yeah,
haunted places. And I think the Queen Mary, there's no other place like it. I've been to another haunted ship, which is a Lexington. And that place is amazing as well. It's in Corpus Christi, Texas. So like if you ever want to visit Selena's final resting place,
Yeah,
please do.
hello.
And
yes.
go to the Lexington, please do. But yeah, I went there to the Lexington and the Queen Mary though, it just it to me, it just ships are amazing. First of all, any ship, like when can you say you go into a ship and you walk around, right? So both ships are great. I think both ships are in their own respectful way, haunted
Yeah,
respectfully. But the Queen Mary, I've had the most activity in that place, like in different eras of my life. So the first time I ever experienced anything weird, like I captured something on camera, was at the Queen Mary. I was like, what the heck is
really.
this? So this was back in like the early 2000s. I had got my first digital camera, like the bulky ones, and you could only take like maybe 20 photos because like the memory was like not the good, like the
Not
Yeah.
SD
there.
card. And so I remember like this, I had flown out for the summer to California, and my sister and I went to like we went to the Queen Mary because we were like I don't know why we were down there for like it was a funeral, like an
Okay.
odd way. We were there for a funeral,
Yeah.
and we're like, wait, we're in Long Beach, like let's go to the Queen Mary. I'm like, I've never been, and she took me there. And she didn't have much money to do like a tour or anything like that. So we went
Sure,
to like the
sure.
main floor where there's like the food. Because back then you can just walk up. Now I know they have more
Right.
restrictions.
Now they've capitalized
Yeah.
on every entrance point.
Yes.
Yes. So this was like the era where the Queen Mary still had this really thick book of everybody that's ever boarded the Queen Mary, ever, supposedly. I don't, the book is gone now. It's like
The
every time
passenger
I
book,
tell people,
passenger
yeah,
log.
it was like in a big glass box. And every time I bring it up, people don't remember it. I'm like, wait, who was there in the early 2000s that remembers
Yeah,
this
yeah,
book?
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I remember looking through it and I saw my last name, my maiden last name. There's like less than 30,000 people, I think, or something like that on this planet with it. So it's crazy to see that. So that was the first thing.
Wow.
But then the second thing, I remember that my niece, she was 7 at the time. Um, we ended up in that main ballroom where they do all the events. Like it's
He's
this
so
beautiful ballroom with
beautiful.
like
So
the
Yeah.
theater. Okay, so we were there. They had a grandfather clock in there, and I was like, "This." It almost looked like they were doing storage, like just clearing out the space. But there was like a grandfather clock there, a table there, and I took a photo. And in the old digital camera that I had, and I hate telling the story because it's like people who are skeptical and be like, "Yeah, whatever, she's lying." But anyway, so in the
We
digital camera,
believe.
yeah, there was like a silhouette of a man standing next to the grandfather clock, but there was no one there. I would have noticed it. I would have been like
Yeah.
stranger
It would have
danger.
stood out. Stranger
Yes.
danger, yes.
And he like
Oh,
was gray and
wow.
very silhouette. And I was like, what the heck is this? So that was the first experience. And I went back to Minnesota because I was still living there. I told my friends because they were like, You went to the Queen Mary, you took photos. Yeah, I'm like, look at this man. And they saw it too. We ran to the
Mhm.
computer because it's like back then where you had to like, you didn't have cell phones. So you have to like upload your photos to a computer. And if you wanted
Yes.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I uploaded it to my computer, and when we would blow it up, it would disappear, but it would show up on the digital camera. But we all collectively saw
Oh, that's
this
the
man staring at
smart.
me by the grandfather clock.
That's so
So I was like,
eerie.
yeah, and because as a teenager, I was a very skeptical person. Like I was kind of leaning into like being atheist and not believing into anything because like my
Sure.
mom, again, bless my mom, but I love
Yeah.
her, but at the
Yeah.
time,
It's a
I was
tough,
traumatized with
yeah.
religion. So I was like, no, this is just us like imagineering crap, whatever, right? So then the second experience I had at the Queen Mary was when I saw the white apparition. Again, if people are interested, I have the photos. It's pinned on my Instagram and TikTok. But basically, I had done this theatrical seance for the Great, it was the Great Ghost Project, I think, or in
Oh, I
partnership.
remember when that launched. 57
Yeah.
Ghosts
Yes.
and something. Yes.
Yes, 57 Ghosts. Yes. And the magician is great. I he actually saw him at the the Corral Cafe recently in Burbank.
Really?
Oh,
Anyway, it's so funny. But
I
anyway,
love
so that place is
that.
haunted too. But yeah, he was like he did this amazing theatrical seance and he had us walk out in a very particular way. And this couple was like, "Oh my God, you have these like haunted dolls." Like they actually were buying into it. Like they believed that everything in that room was like haunted and whatever.
they
At
were
least that's what
open
it
to
seemed
receive
like.
it all. They were like,
Yes.
yes.
Meanwhile, he was being theatrical though. Like I know
Sure,
he was
sure.
being
Yeah,
like
you
a
could tell the
mentalist.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I know he said he believes it's like he kind of he tries to like be respectful. Like he believes in something, but he's also a magician first, and so yeah, I know with that honor
A
code, you
lot of
have to.
magicians are like Houdini. They're trying to break, like they don't believe in it in the end, right? Like they know how
Yeah.
everything is done, every trick, every illusion. So yeah, Kurt is like
Yes.
that, sis. The one who goes to
Oh,
Magic
I
takes
believe
us to
that.
Magic Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So like I understand, like I respect that about magicians because I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure they know all the tricks and they see it all and everything. So anyway, so but they were like very wowed by these dolls. But to be fair, it was so strange that when we were walking out, we were the last people there. The doll popped its head out of the box and it wasn't supposed to do that. So I don't know. That was But I was also
Yeah.
being like my skeptical hat on too. I was like, okay, it's just probably like some wiring. I don't
We're
know. So I
trying to
like didn't.
always like debunk it or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's cool that you mentioned the Queen Mary. Would you say that's your number one paranormal destination, or is there still a place you would like to go? And also, have you spent the night on the Queen Mary? Because when I caught your YouTube today, episode 5 of 45, you were like, we need to have an overnight and maybe do a podcast. And I don't know. I would just say Frolicking
We sign
Chronicles and
up.
Steffany Strange might need to
Yes,
coordinate
please.
something.
Let's do that. Well, sorry, I'll finish my last story though with the I'll wrap it up with the Queen Mary ghost real quick and
Oh,
then jump
okay.
into
I'm
that.
sorry.
No, you're good. But when he closed the door behind us, I saw a white apparition from the window, like walk past the window. It looked like Casper, the ghost. Like again, I
I
drew
saw
like a little
that
thing.
image because you sent me the
Ooh,
TikTok or something, didn't you, sis? You sent
yes,
me a video,
yes.
and
Now,
you and this
yes.
tall girl were like, "Did you just see that?"
Yes, I even have the girl with me, like to prove. And again, if you want to see the
Yeah.
girl, I did not know her at all, and we saw the same effing thing, and I was like, "What did I just see?" But that was one of the moments that, like, I wouldn't say I was scared, but my world stopped. That I was like, I
Yeah.
just literally saw like the typical white little ghost thing that people draw all the time,
I think
like in
that's
real
so
life.
cute. You're like, it looked like
Fantastic.
Casper,
And
but that is
I
what.
think we were already following you on your Instagram when this kind of was in real time because I remember when that
Mhm.
show was launched. Could you for just one moment tell people your handle on Instagram and TikTok so they can go see this craziness?
Yes. So my name is Stephanie underscore Strange, but the way you spell it is different. So Steffany. So
Stephanie with two
Tiffany, but
F's.
yeah, like Tiffany, but Stephanie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
love it.
so sorry, your question though was like, okay, so after that, what was the other following question after
Oh,
that?
so it was like, so is Queen Mary your number one paranormal destination, and or do you have something that's like on your bucket list of I want to make it there one day?
You know, not right now, of course. People can hate on me for this. I don't care. But I've always wanted to. I ever since I knew that the White House did a séance like way back when in like
Oh, I love
the
how you were like, first of all, the demon cat. Listen, I'm with you, Stephanie. If we ever get out of this freaking madness and this, I love Washington D.C.
yeah.
Pre, whatever's going on right now. So we will do the D.C. The D.C. is magical if it's not all foobarred by the time 2 more years go and we get a positive election. Sorry,
Right. Who have,
I
yeah,
don't know
exactly. I
how
don't
else
mean to
to
get
say
political, guys. Sorry,
it.
but I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I remember like when I was doing like a whole deep dive on it back in like 2020 and like how there's been allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because it's all speculation, but
Yeah.
supposedly there's been people that like who lived in the White House or stayed in the White House experience stuff. I think like one of the videos I did years ago, and I don't remember all the details because it was forever ago, but I think it was like a news reporter. She was saying that I guess they got to stay the night there or something like that, and like um different administration, but she said that she experienced something there.
I
Like she heard
believe
someone playing the
it.
piano at night.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I was like, oh, what? So I guess for all this to say is like in a picture perfect world, like if we could, I know I think that's why it's my destination because it's impossible. Like when would that ever happen? Um, I
The
would love to
un
do a seance at the White
the
House.
yeah, ungettable get. Like that's the moment right there, the White House.
You
Wow.
know, like I said, if we get passes and they ever want to do a whole PR and we actually love all Americans, maybe we can get in there and be like, we really think this would be a fun thing to do for PR.
Exactly, you know? Um, yeah, I think that's one of my for sure up there like bucket list, but I know it's
Oh
not gonna
my
happen.
God, I'm
That's
so pleasantly so you guys, if you're just listening, my face is just aglow because the way I have gone to Washington, D.C., and I've been there 3 times. One was right before 2008. My son had a skateboarding thing when he was 8 years old. And I'll never forget when Obama won and we're looking at the Lincoln Memorial and all those people. And he's 8 years old. He's now 26. And he says, Mom, that's where we were standing. That's where we were. And it gives me chills to this day. And then I've just been lucky. I could talk about DC for like probably
oh,
a
I
solid
love that.
another hour.
It is such a magical place. Like I know people may think what they think, but when you go there, the energy is so interesting about that place. Like
Yeah.
It's
I don't know, the
definitely different
museums.
now. We have a
Yeah.
shipmate who's trying to get out of there before the 250th. That he's trying to sell
Oh,
his
okay.
apartment and get out of there before the
Yeah, I can see that.
250th. So it is different right now. But
Yeah.
Steffany, this has been such a delight. I know that we're coming up on time right now. And I can't wait to see what your next level is because so far
We'll have to
watching
go to
your
the Queen
journey
Mary
has
together.
been
Yeah, we're
trust
gonna do
it.
that, guys, because it's local and
And we
I'm
want to
gonna
support the Queen Mary. I mean, I was stationed in San Pedro when Samantha came back to the mainland and was doing her reserve work. She was in San Pedro. So Queen Mary, Long Beach, all of that is in our heart.
I'll
I
be
live
in
in
Long
Long
Beach
Beach,
tomorrow. Yeah.
and yeah, it's a special place for us too, Steffany. So I'm kind of curious,
The ship
how
talk was
the power
amazing. I
of
don't
three.
know.
Well,
The
maybe you
power
have
of
to be
three
power
is
four with Karl.
oh my gosh, the power.
But
I
it would be
love
just
this.
such a great there's so much more that I want to unravel with you over time. So we'll have you back on the
I
podcast.
I
We'll
hope
have
you
to
come back.
definitely do something with the Queen Mary. And yeah, listeners,
Okay.
please follow all the socials and subscribe to her YouTube channel as well. And
Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of goodies
amazing.
on there. But before we let Stephanie go, I do want, because listen, paranormal, comedy, horror, there's so many things that are just trending right now, and people are all over threads talking about certain shows. And I just wondered if
Yes.
Stephanie Strange is watching anything specific on TV right now, or are you reading, or is there a certain podcast that you're listening to that you would recommend to our listeners besides Frolicking Chronicles
Of
and
course.
being
Yeah.
strange with Stephanie Strange?
Of course, you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? Okay, so I saw Backrooms and I went to the premiere. Speaking of
Oh my
that, and
God. Yes.
I
A24?
saw, I'm sorry?
Is it A24? Is Backrooms
Yes.
A24? Okay.
Yeah. And I saw Mark Duplassar, and he was the executive producer for, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he was the executive producer. But I walked up to him, I said, "Is there going to be any more uh true crimes of the paranormal on Hulu? If you haven't seen that, please watch it.
Watch it.
Please watch it. Because I feel like it takes a refreshing spin on paranormal cases and the true crime that actually happens behind them. Like there was that one infamous case of this Native American woman who was brutally murdered behind a hospital or on the hospital parking lot.
Okay.
And the court case was about skinwalkers. And it's like the guy was sick
Oh,
and brutally murdered
wow.
her. And so, anyway, you
And the
have
show is
to watch
called
it.
what? The show is called
It's
what?
I think it's let me double check. It's called Out
Okay.
There True Crimes of the Paranormal.
Out
Um,
there. Okay, this is because I don't really love true crime, but I'll tell you what, we there's a book, I think it's by Felix Blackwell, called Stolen Tongues, and it has that kind of
Yes.
element in it. And I
mhm.
swear it's one of my favorite horror books. It was
Okay,
so good.
and I'm glad that you mentioned to maybe give Hulu another chance. Because to be honest with you, one of my favorite shows ever with Roz Hernandez was A Living for the Dead, and you can't even stream it now. And I'm so happy
Kristen
that I,
Stewart.
yeah, I'm so happy that I watched it when I did and had it on repeat for as long as I did. And so, because you said so, I will give Hulu another chance because I've been low key boycotting since who knows
They
what
I didn't
did
even
happened to
know
Live
they
for
did
the Dead.
that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it is sad you
that's so
can't
stream it
watch
unfortunate.
it.
anywhere. You can't watch
Yeah,
it.
that
It's
is.
so bizarre. Who no, and I don't think anybody knows why. would love to have Roz on
That's
this
wild.
podcast at some point because I've been infatuated with her forever.
Okay, so you recommend going to see Backrooms. That is done incredible last weekend in the box office. $80 million for a 20-year-old director from YouTube is what I think I've read. Okay,
It's
and then
20 years
out.
old, but he started it at 16, which is wild. Like his
Oh,
web
what?
series. Yeah.
Guys, we
Really?
are lazy. What were we doing at 16? Girl, we were working at Chuck E. Cheese like your
Yes,
sister.
we were. We
That's
were
what we were doing.
birthday hostesses.
My
Doing
sister
live
worked at a
shows.
Chuck E. Cheese.
That's amazing. I love it. Okay. Are you so I'm gonna say I've been watching Widow's Bay. That is my new comfort show on Apple TV. And I did like The Burrows on Netflix. So just, there's two options out there.
Oh,
Sis, are you watching anything right now or
Eric and I are catching up on The Warriors on HBO. My husband's part Filipino, and he was actually born in the Philippines, and so I've been totally immersed in Asian culture forever with, my in-laws gifting us so much Asian art. And actually our parents had watched it and they said, Ronnie, you and Eric really need to watch The Warriors on HBO. And
I'm gonna
it's
write that
based
down too.
in the 1800s, San Francisco Chinatown, and it's a lot of kung fu, guys. I'm going to admit there is
Oh,
some
I think we
violence.
watched the first episode of
And
that,
so
but yeah.
then so we're in season 3 right now, and not paranormal, uh, but I'm anticipating watching season 5 of The Bear. So pop culture wise, like I'm excited to see, that show just blows my
I don't
mind.
think I've
I
seen
love it
But
that.
isn't
so
that
much.
also a Hulu show or no?
Yeah, but we're not watching it on
Or
Hulu.
FX
Yeah,
Hulu?
yeah,
I
something
just
like that. But like I said, well, they've been on hiatus or whatever. So like I said, I have to
yeah.
pick and choose. I'm not ever going
They
to
have
get
that
over that they
prequel
canceled that
show
one
right
show.
now, episode.
Yeah.
They have the prequel
Um,
episode.
as far as paranormal shows though, like honestly, I'm more into listening and watching the podcasts on YouTube. So Ghost Bunny, which I saw your episode on Ghost Bunny, it was a great episode. And yeah, I mean, I kind of dabble in a lot of different things, but normal TV, I finally watched Running Point, and now the Spurs and the Knicks are
I
playing. So like,
I love Running Point. That's a
Running
fun
Point was
one.
great. Running Point
We
was
gotta
great.
check these out. I'm gonna have to like bookmark these because I
Sometimes
like
we're so around paranormal, but we do have a big fascination for pulp culture as well. And when you
Well,
have
pop
kids,
culture and inspirational, like Running Point is kind of like the Lakers story of the
yes,
sister that took over the Lakers, and so but it's comedy and
and
it's
it's Kate
inspirational in the
Hudson
way. Yeah, she's so cute, Kate Hudson, but
and Brenda
it's
Song
yeah, it is inspirational just as like if
as
you're
a
trying to run
female
a
too.
business and like get after it, like but the funny stuff that happens all in between is hilarious.
ooh, you know what's a show that's interesting is like 60 Day Hustle. It's like a reality TV show for content creators who also do businesses online. And so
What?
it's kind of like Shark, like with the Shark Tank.
Shark
What's it
Tank.
called?
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but for content creators who have businesses on their platforms. And I attended as like an audience member the final episode, and it was the coolest thing to watch, like how these people have grown and how they're being really like molded to like grow their business beyond just social media. It was fascinating
I
to
and
watch.
it's that's like real talk, I think, for creators. So I'm glad we got to talk about your auditions and all of that. I will say, you guys heard me say just moments ago, I'm a huge Roz Hernandez fan. So I watched, my first ghost podcast I ever listened to was Ghosted by Roz, and she was Roz Dress for Less back in that day. And so
Those
she
are
also,
good.
yeah, they were so good. And she also has a show on YouTube called Haunted Dolls. And so, guys, if you want to support creators, the another thing you can do, even if you're just doing your dishes, doing whatever, put on Stephanie's channel, put on Roz's channel, and just have it on repeat for the views. I mean, I do
Yeah,
this all the time for
exactly.
people because
Yeah.
it's
They
how you
don't
rock
know we're
your media.
secretly trying to lift people
Lift,
all the
lift
time.
all the time.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you guys. And yeah, I do that too. Like I watch my friends' stuff all the time. Like, I know Mike Scarecast, he has a YouTube, he does his podcast as well. And like, he's also doing YouTube. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch all your
Yeah,
stuff.
I think that
And
one's
I
actually in my
know
playlist.
I know we're coming up on time, but you did mention about, I think they're brothers, and this is during your Tombstone experience. They were Navajo I want to say like Sean and Hero Clen or something.
Yes,
And
Sean
I'm trying to
Clem
find
and
more
Hero.
information out on them because we
I
also
we want to
have
go to
Native American.
Tombstone. My gosh.
We haven't been since we were teenagers. But we
They
also
used
have
to do a
Native
paranormal
American.
conference.
Oh, they
Oh,
do.
sorry.
Okay. No, you no, because it was a Paracon, right? And that's how you and
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Bridget
And
met.
they're not doing it. The city wouldn't let them do it again. That's
Which
what
is so
happened. See?
unfortunate. And you were in,
Yeah.
and because sometimes Tamantha will say, she'll correct me on political correctness kind of thing, because I'll say Oriental, and then I think like I'm okay because that's how my mother-in-law says it. And then so she's correcting me, but you did do an investigation in the Oriental Theater in Tombstone, correct? And
Yes.
were the Navajo brothers there? Like, I don't know that that's their proper handle. I'm just remembering from one of the podcasts that you were on. Um,
They've gone their separate ways now. I think
oh,
because
okay.
they're focusing on different. They all have their own different. Like they're focusing on different things. I know Sean Clent started his YouTube channel. I think it's like Shadow Productions. I think.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Hero, he has. I think he still has their channels. I'll send it to you after.
Yeah,
But
I
Yeah,
would
that'd
they're
be
like
very
cool.
to
lovely
learn
people.
more. I would like,
Yeah,
and
Would
we
they're
always
very
love
try
lovely
to
that.
people.
support Native Americans as best we can, always.
But I love this because sometimes I get in a show hole, and I'm going to say, even with like listening to podcasts and different things, because I'm a super nerd. I'm listening to like Heather Cox Richardson and like Rick Stevens Travels and Supernatural Japan. And, so I'm always looking for new things to plug in because that I do listen to a lot of podcasts, guys. And they're not just Frolicking
Oh yeah, I'm a
Chronicles.
podcast person too. Yeah, but I don't listen to like
We
spiritual
do,
podcasts
we do.
anymore because
And
I'm
because
just
I'm in the
so.
wedding industry, I have a whole series of those kind of podcasts that were just
Yeah.
industry things. But thank you again, Steffany, for joining us tonight. I feel like I just feel so grateful that you had the time to
I
sit and
am.
reach
Thank you for
out.
yeah, and that we
Thank
made
you for
it
having
happen so
me.
quickly. And is there anything else that we should know before we go, Stephanie?
Will you be at
No,
Midsummer
I.
Scream, or
Oh yeah,
some
I'm
of the
doing
things
a
that are
panel
happening
at
this summer?
Midsummer Scream.
You
So
are.
yes,
Guys, so
yeah.
Oh,
that you know,
Stay tuned.
Midsummer Scream is coming up August, I think, 7th
7th
through
through the
9th.
ninth, I think.
I think so. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
really. Even though I have a panel, I'm really bad at this.
That's
I'm
okay.
so.
Well,
Sorry, I
we'll
didn't mean to
promote
put you on
you.
the spot. What is the panel going to be about? Is it your own panel, or you guess you want
Mm,
to featured on the panel?
yeah, so I was asked to be part of a panel recently. So I know last year the same thing happened, and I guess like the directors really liked our panel, so we're doing another one
Yay.
again. So we're actually stay tuned. We're going to be doing a panel on possessions and the different variations of possessions. So not like your typical exorcist moving possessions, but like what does it look like? And we may or may not have somebody who was behind the movie host with us on the panel. So Jed Shepard might join us. I
Wow.
don't know yet. I will, fingers
Still
crossed.
working out the
Guys.
details.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
That's
a big one.
exciting.
You heard it here first on Frolicking
In
Chronicles. Beep,
Chronicles.
beep, 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 breaking news.
yeah, we have other people on the panel as well, but I know that if I'm hoping, well, I don't want to jinx it all, but we're putting it
Yes,
Yeah,
together. But
we'll
yes.
be
that's the
Putting it
major
out
reporting.
there.
topic. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on all your success. And I just love watching all your interviews and all the premieres and all the things that you're doing. And I just keep creating because I
Oh,
just love
thank
it so much.
you. You are so sweet.
Cheers to you, Steffany
That's right.
Strange.
My iced tea, my green tea.